Hello and welcome to Prime News. I'm Rita Chibet-Kering. We bring you the latest top stories from Kenya and across the borders. From breaking news to exclusive interviews and in-depth analysis, we have it all covered. Our team of reporters are stationed in key locations, bringing you first-hand accounts of the events that matter most to you. So sit back, relax, and join us as we delve into our today's top stories.
Wamekuja wametusubua sasa biashara na mambo ya Finance Act na mengine ambao yako kwa meza mpaka wa leo. Wameharibu education. The people who are suffering most also are from Mount Kenya.
Jubilee Party slams government on increased tax burden for Kenyans. Plus,
we need to make an election. We can do both. We can look at the past, that is the 2022 election, and audit it, see what lessons we can learn from it.
LSK proposes change to the country's voting calendar, advocating for a two-day general election event. Plus,
Kenya Coalition Party.
ODM leader Raila Odinga chairs a National Executive Committee meeting amid calls for his exit from political arena. Welcome on board. Jubilee Party has cited high taxation of one of the main causes of the current high cost of living. The Kamwene section of the party stated that they have several lawsuits underway and are seeking to table a policy that will bar the government from taxing more than 20% of incomes. Our reporter Emmanuel BAMBA is on that story.
Speaking during a press briefing on Tuesday, Kioni said the efforts will be concentrated on the Mount Kenya region to help the former ruling party reclaim its former glories in the region.
Leaders wamekuja wameiba Jubilee, walikuwa nafikiri wanaenda naye lakini wameshindwa. Wamekuja wametusubua sasa biashara na mambo ya Finance Act na mengine ambao yako kwa meza mpaka wa leo.
Kioni added that the Kamwene Forum will also assist in addressing issues that Mount Kenya residents are facing.
Wamesema watafuga bar ili watu wasikunywe pombe, but hawarudishi ile license fees ambazo watu walikuwa wamelipa. So they are just impoverizing our people, making our people poorer.
At the same time, Kioni disputed speculation that Mount Kenya leaders are planning to ditch Azimio and adopt the Kamwene Forum as their new preferred political vehicle.
Hivi karibuni tutakuja kujua ni nani pedestrian kuliko ule mwingine.
Mount Kenya leaders in the Azimio camp have in the past convened meetings to discuss the region's interests.
Tunaomba ya kwamba watu wasimame wakiwa pamoja, wakiwa united, na tunaweza kusonga mbele.
Politicians who have warmed up for the Kamwene strategy include Kioni, Martha Karua of NAK Kenya, former Laikipia Governor Ndiritu Murithi, Party of National Unity leader Peter Munya, among others.
Angalia hata vile kazi inapangwa. Tunaona watu wa upande wa kwetu wanatolewa, kunawekwa wengine, na hakuna ile stability in the mountain. Wengi wanaweza sema ya kwamba kuna unity, lakini hakuna unity. Ndio unity tunakuja kuleta na Kamwene, kwa sababu mambo si mazuri. Tunataka umoja ili tuendelee.
Mimi kama wakili tumetengeneza petition inaenda kotini next week. And the petition is very clear. We want to set a constitutional limit as to how much money the government can come into your salary as direct taxation. Yes. Because this government has gotten to a point where they think they have a right over your salary. They've gotten to a point where they can go to a 70% if they wanted. Right now, they are civil servants and people who are being taxed to the tune of 35% of your earnings.
While delivering his speech, he only questioned whether the government will keep its promise of addressing the cost of living, especially considering that the current administration has introduced a host of new taxes.
Hii mambo ya taxation, tumesema kule Bomas, we gave our proposal that we need a limit as to how much a person can be taxed in this Kenya. And that is what I was telling you. When we gave that proposal, we were told it is a pedestrian way of thinking.
Kioni added that it is high time that the national resource allocation formula is reversed to allocation resource based on the region's population.
Ni vizuri kusema ya kwamba wale Wakikuyu wako kwa hii regime waache kutumiwa kufunika maovu ambayo inafanywa na wenye serikali. Wale walikuwa wanasema wako na chairs, hata waliambiwa na usoro hawana chairs. Waanze kujua kwamba chairs ziko na wenyewe na waache kutumiwa kugandamiza makabila zingine. Kikuyus are being used to cover up the mistreatment of other tribes.
The Secretary General further questioned why Mount Kenya, despite contributing huge amounts to the tax basket, gets a raw deal when it comes to development projects.
Wameharibu education. The people who are suffering most also are from Mount Kenya. We have very many kids who are not in school today.
The Jubilee Secretary General asked Mount Kenya residents to take heed of former President Uhuru Kenyatta's advice and hold the government to account.
Serikali Kenya si yetu, Kenya ni ya Wakenya na tunawashukuru sana.
Reporting for Maisha Maisha Television, I'm Emmanuel Wabomba.
And the Law Society of Kenya has proposed a change to the country's voting calendar, advocating for a 2-day general election event. LSK President Eric Theuri, in a statement after making a recommendations to the National Dialogue Committee on Tuesday, proposed the separation of the presidential election from other elective seats. Mesh Msimbi reports.
And conducting a post-election audit of finance systems, processes and outcomes.
The Law Society of Kenya and Elections Observer Group have called for a comprehensive audit of the election process after every poll.
We need to make an election. We can do both. We can look at the past, that is the 2022 election, and audit it, see what lessons we can learn from it.
Appearing before the National Dialogue Committee at the Bomas of Kenya, LSK and ELOG say the audit should be done whether or not the outcome of the elections have been disputed.
And move forward with those lessons. Or we can say that we look at the framework. And I think the legislative framework requires a little bit of panel beating, so that then we impute in the system itself, we put in adequate mechanisms to ensure that there is an audit of the process, and all the parties and the members of the public, if they need to, have a way to access.
What we need is to have a process that has a confidence building among Kenyans. And you mentioned that the panel that is in place was put in place in a fairly toxic political environment. Do you have a proposal as LSK, or now we can deal with that issue, bearing in mind that we have already a team, as you said, that is in office through a legally recognized legal process? And I want you to think around what happened in 2011 when the EACC Act was amended and removed some